drilled deep to left field. There it goes. See ya.
Ball game over. Yankees win. The Yankees win.
Are you crying? There's no crying. There's no crying in baseball.
Welcome to Three the Hard Way Sports Podcast. From three guys who talked sports together over lunch for over 10 years. Probably eating a Fudgy the Whale.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Three the Hard Way Sports Podcast. I'm Bryan Galloway here for episode 44, which is Reggie Jackson, or as Mike had just said recently, what the quote by Moses Malone, fo. Here we are, and I'm here with, from Rumson, New Jersey, Alex Shanley. How are you, Alex?
I'm doing great, Brian. Baseball season is here, so 162 games to go. I'm looking forward to it.
Good. It's me too. And from parts unknown, we have Michael Pipersek. How are you, Mike?
I am great, and I am here to reveal another surprise pick in baseball. Last year, you'll recall, I picked the Texas Rangers as my dark horse, and they won their first World Series. So what do I have up my sleeve for
in store for us tonight?
I'm really curious to hear. I'm curious to hear.
Brian, you know how he did it?
How?
Steroids.
There you go. There you go. He took steroids.
Pitches on a steroids regime.
There you go. I always knew that about him.
Yeah.
He's
too healthy.
On a wheel and spun it.
He's just too healthy. And but before we really quickly start on that, let's talk about how you guys how your Final Four predictions going so far.
Terrible.
I got one. I got the obvious one.
Oh, the only one I had was Purdue.
Oh, that's awesome. All right.
Yeah.
And I have UConn. So Purdue finally broke through. We talked about this last time, right? They finally realized if you got the biggest, most dominant player, just feed him the ball constantly. And Zach Edey's delivering. So good for Purdue. Good for Zach Edey. He really looks like he's on a mission. And wouldn't it be something if Purdue and UConn found a way to meet up for the national championship?
And Matt Painter too, right? The coach who played there, and
Matt Painter
seems like a good guy, and really loves the Purdue way. So
we'll see. My picks were horrible. I'm not even going to talk about them. But I did pick Seton Hall to win NIT, so that might happen. Let's see what happens. Maybe I'll get that one at least something. We'll see what happens. Okay.
Does anybody think UConn's losing?
No.
I think they're a 13.5-point favorite.
Well, they almost had their flight canceled. So if their flight's canceled, they missed the game. You never know. But I mean, they had a flight problem the other night, right?
Yeah, they got into Arizona at 6 a.m. this morning, and I'm sure Danny Hurley's angry and is going to use that as fuel. And poor Alabama's on the receiving end of something. But I would really like to see NC State find a way, because what a story that's been. Me too. Wow.
Yeah.
Is that guy DJ Burns Jr. fun to watch or what?
Yeah, he's a new Lorenzo Charles. Yes.
Oh my God! Great.
Yeah, like an Alabama NC State final.
Oh my God! Right.
That would hurt ratings, I think, a little bit.
Yeah, people watch it anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about it's at that time of year. We talked about pitchers and catchers were appearing. So baseball is starting. So let's talk about our predictions. I think. It's, people care. I mean, I think we care about baseball a lot. It's going to take up a lot of our time over the next, 6 months or so. We religiously watch baseball as much as we can. And we're lucky enough that we have 3 teams in our area that you could actually watch games at all times, which is always pretty cool. So let's talk. I don't know how you want to do it, but I mean, Alex, you probably want to go first, but talk about, maybe talk about the teams that you think are going to do well. And then later on, we'll come back and talk about who we think is going to win the World Series.
So, as you guys know, if you listen to the show, I'm a big Yankee fan, but I won't start there. I'm going to start in the National League, and the Dodgers are just loaded, and I don't think they're going to win it. I just don't. I don't like the manager. I almost think that this Shohei Ohtani distraction is not going away all year. Like, as much as MLB is going to want to sweep this under the carpet, I think there's going to be lawsuits, and it's going to be ugly. And I really believe the star on that team is Mookie Betts. It's not Shohei Ohtani.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
Shohei Ohtani is coming up to bat, 3 or 4 times a game, and that's it. And he'll get his hits. He's not going to pitch this year. He's not going to play the outfield. So for this year, Mookie Betts is the star, and they moved him to shortstop this year, and he really hasn't played middle infield position, and he's doing great. So, as much as I don't like the Dodgers, I think they're going to be there in the end. Arizona had a great run last year. Yankees just battered them around. The Yankees are off to a strong start. So I think in the National League, the Braves always have a great regular season, but then just fade in the playoffs. And I don't understand it. They have pitching, they have all the hitting in the world, they play good defense, and they just fade. So, but I'm going to pick them as kind of my Purdue team this year. I think the Braves are going to make it to the World Series, and I just think they, have a loaded team. They were young, they're more mature now. They have a superstar in Acuna, and I just think that it's going to be their year. Philly will batter them all year long. Philly was off to a slow start, but again, they have good players, and Philly always seems to get off to these slow starts and then starts to roll later in the season. But I'm going to pick the Braves out of the East. It's a pretty easy pick, and I'm going to pick the Dodgers out of the West. Now, the Central, our adopted team, the Pittsburgh Pirates, have once again
On a roll.
started off 6-1. They have some great pitching. They have, a superstar shortstop, and I think they're on the come, but I don't think it'll last. I think they will eventually fade, and I think the Reds and the Brewers are going to bubble up to the top in that division. St. Louis has had some down years. The Cubs are trying to rebuild a little bit, so I'm going to pick as a long shot. I'm going to pick the Reds to win the Central, and I think they've been building something pretty good, and they're kind of where the Braves were. Maybe not as good, but they're young. They have some great players. And I'm going to say the Reds. So I'm going to say the Braves, the Dodgers, and the Reds of the National League. What do you guys think of that?
I like the Reds a lot too. I think the Reds have a lot of young players. They have like 3 or 4 blue chips on that team. Like they just, Spencer Steer, um, Encarnacion. They're a good team, and they have their farm team has more guys there coming up. You're going to see more people, and De La Cruz. They're good. They're young, so they're gonna win a lot. Now, do they have the pitching? We'll see, but they have great relief too. They have like a couple fire bowlers in there. So I'm really curious, but I like watching them play. They're fun to watch.
Yeah, and I think Ellie De La Cruz is gonna, he's the new, generation of shortstop. So he's a neat player to keep an eye on.
Yep.
Yeah, the Central to me is the hardest division to pick because I agree. The Braves are loaded, and they may have gotten a little bit more loaded if they can get 2018 version of Chris Sale, who they picked up. I mean, that could turn out to be a really shrewd move for the Braves, but they're dominant at every position. Spencer Strider is a guy that's going to flirt with 300 strikeouts this season. But yeah, to your point, Alex, they're fantastic in the regular season, and it's been like this since the 90s with them, where they can't break through. And the last couple of years where they've fallen short in the playoffs, it's the Phillies that trip them up. So I
Yeah.
think that's the last team they want to see. I think the Braves win the division. I think the Phillies are in the mix in the NL East. I agree with the Dodgers. Same thing. Totally loaded team. They don't have Kershaw for a while, but the rotation's pretty solid for the Dodgers. I agree. Mookie Betts is the star there. Not sure if the Otani thing's going to be a distraction or if it'll just disappear, but I think the Diamondbacks are still really good. They made that great run to the World Series last year. a surprise for them. They made a really great run. I think they'll still be in the mix. My surprise team is going to come out of that division, but I'm not going to name them yet. And then the Central, I'm going to take a flyer on the Cubs. They made a move to get Craig Counsell from the Brewers as, I think, the highest paid manager maybe ever. So he's done a great job. Like, his strength is in balancing the bullpen. It's going to be a little bit of a challenge, I think, with their rotation, but I'm going to take a flyer on the Cubs to win a really bumpy, awkward, maybe ugly NL Central.
That's an interesting one.
It is interesting. I like that. I think that's pretty cool. I mean, those are good choices. Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot. It's early in the season. We're gonna, we talk in a couple months. We're gonna see a lot of things come into play. I like the Braves. I think the Braves are really tough. They're going to be a tough team to beat this year. I do like the Yankees too, I'm not saying this just because they started out good. I think the Yankees have the nucleus to be good, but they need Cole to come back. Without Cole, it's done. They're not gonna. They're not gonna. There's no World Series without Cole. They need that dominant closer. That pitcher. I'm sorry, that pitcher. They need that person. So I also feel that a lot of these teams, we're not looking at the final product. We'll see. Now the Phillies are another team that I really feel the problem is that division is stacked. But I think the Phillies have a lot of good players. They have a tough lineup. They have good pitching. They're going to be tough too. And you have the Braves. You have to get past the Braves. But that Philly team, I wouldn't want to play them in the playoffs because they're tough. They can hit with anybody. So that's an interesting one. The Dodgers, I do say they're stacked. But again, yeah, I feel like Alex said, and Alex said it very well. It's just you don't know what's going to happen. I think they're maybe too good, but they also have a lot of, while they are very top heavy with stars, some of their other players are just not that good, and that might come to hurt them during the year. I don't know about their depth because they spent so much money on these players. Their depth is pretty poor in that team.
And they spent a lot on Yamamoto, and I mean, he got shelled in
Yeah.
the spring. He got shelled his first start. He did much better in his second start. But I mean, imagine if he's a flop and they invested all that money in him. What is like $300 million or something crazy? Never thrown a pitch in the major leagues. I mean, that just seems like a crazy contract to me. And I know the Yankees were going after him and the Mets were going after him, but it just seems like a crazy contract to me, like a head scratcher. So, but
Yeah, it is interesting. Now, there's some good teams that are gonna be players. I mean, the Giants, the Giants could do something. They again, good pitching staff. They always seem to be competitive. I don't know if they have enough, but you never know.
yeah,
Um,
I don't think they don't have enough hitting this year, and they're just, you know,
the rate.
nobody wanted to go there, unfortunately, because
No, no, no. I know. Kyle
they,
Harrison is going to be good though.
yeah.
So the Rangers are going to be tough. The Rangers. So I have to tell you right now, in fantasy baseball, the thing is, if your pitcher is going up against the Rangers, you're better off not playing them. They score. They are going to score a lot of runs this year. Now, are they going to give up a lot of runs? Are they going to be able to handle it? I don't know, but they're going to score a lot of runs.
Yeah,
So
they've got some injuries to their starting pitching right now. So Scherzer's out, DeGrom's out, Tyler Mahle's out. I mean, they've got to kind of ride out the first half of the season. But to your point, Brian, they could just do that by outscoring teams to
yeah,
get to the summer until those guys come in. Fresh arms on the back half of the season could make them dangerous the second half of the season and maybe heading into the playoffs.
yeah,
The Rangers scare me for one reason: their manager, Bruce Bochy.
Oh,
That
yeah.
guy just wins
everywhere.
He just wins.
It's
And,
incredible. Yeah, I agree.
he won, and they were saying, analytics, this and that, and, the Yankees are starting to move away from it a little bit and let Boone make some decisions in the dugout. I'm sure Bruce Bochy, when he interviewed for there, he said, "Let me take care. I got it." And he did, man. He won the World Series with him. Like, he is incredible, really.
He was
And
one
he
of
is
the
their most
reasons I
valuable
picked
player.
them last year because he's a
Yeah.
great manager. I mean,
Yeah.
remember he was winning a World Series every other year with the Giants.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah.
And he just replaced guys. He would just reload. And you'd look at that team and you'd say, well, they're okay. But Madison Bumgarner, right? Dominant. I mean, it was incredible watching Buster Posey. And then Buster
Yeah.
Posey started getting hurt. They just always found the guys. They had, who was that guy, Bryan? The Big Panda?
Yeah,
That guy. I mean,
Kung Fu Panda.
yeah, they just found stars or stars in the postseason. And Bruce Bochy just always kind of pulls the right strings. And he did it with Texas last year.
But like, to me, that's the most valuable thing of coaching in any sport at any level, right? Is you're the coach, and all of a sudden in practice you see something in somebody, and then you talk it, you talk in the ear a little bit, and then you do this, and you make a change, and you help them, and you get this training, and then all of a sudden that person's a star, right? Like, and they were not a star coming into camp,
No.
or walking on the field the first time, or maybe not even a star, but a significant cog in the machine that's going to win you a championship. And that's what great coaches and managers do, right? They mold players from, a solid athlete that belongs at any level, whatever it may be, and they turn them into something that's even better than what they are. And I think Bruce Bochy does it for everybody on his team. And, Mike, you pointed out some good examples, but he did it on the Rangers last year, and he just pulled all the right strings. So, definitely fear Texas because of the manager. I think he's their MVP for sure.
Hey, they've got a couple of rookies too on that team that are
Yeah, they're
like
both.
Evan
I
Carter
know.
and Wyatt Langford. I mean,
Yeah,
they're just adding pieces to that team
they
as
went.
well.
They went.
So,
They went. They went very high in fantasy drafts too, which is pretty
wow,
crazy
really?
for
Okay.
young guys. Now, here's another team that I really am high on, and I expect to go see them play a couple times this year. I think the Orioles are gonna. They're gonna. They're. They didn't start out that great, but they're players. They're gonna. I think that they're gonna be. They're gonna give the Yankees a run for the money. If not, be better than the Yankees. I don't know,
Mm,
Yeah, I mean, they
but
were 19 games better than them last year.
yeah.
You
a
But
know,
lot of
get a
young
very
talent
different team.
there.
But they're even. I think they're better than they were last year. And they also have another rookie. They have another young guy that's going to come up very soon.
Matt
Who,
Holliday's son, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, and he's
terrific
going to come up, and
prospect.
he's gonna. That's another guy. They're
Yeah,
just they have to those stupid rules about eligibility. Having the person on the roster at the beginning of the year versus bringing them in later. They get that they lose the opportunity to send him back down to the minors and stuff like that. Like that, I don't like that rule. I think it's stupid in baseball. Baseball needs to get rid of that. But he should have probably made the team and out of spring training, but he's not right there. He'll be back. But they don't need him right now. They're still they're Gary. They're a 1-9 team that everybody can hit, and they're all tough outs, and that's a tough home ballpark.
well,
So I am really curious to see how that's going to play out.
Brian, there was a funny story on Jackson Holiday where, oh yeah, we put him back into the minors because we wanted to see if he could improve hitting against lefty pitching. And his first at bat in the minors, he hit a home run off a lefty. So I think it might be just a little bit
yeah,
of smoke there. It's like
yeah,
this
they
guy needs
sent
to
him
be in the
back because they
majors.
don't want to pay him. Yeah, they want to get another year. But another big factor for Baltimore is new ownership, right? They have ownership. They're flush with cash, so they not only are they growing these players, but they're going to be able to sign them and keep them long term, which is good for Baltimore baseball because in the last 10 years it's been grow a player, kind of latch on to one player, run with him, and let everybody else go, and you pay the one player. So hopefully they're going to spread the wealth a little bit and get these players paid up. And Baltimore could be a juggernaut for a long, long time. And
And it's good because those fans deserve it. That's it's a wonderful park. They have very loyal fans. They've stunk for a while, and that's a proud organization. They used to be a continual winner for so many years, and they've fallen into hard times. I'm just so happy for them as an organization to come back, and I'm glad they're young and they're fun. They don't really have a star, maybe their catcher, but they don't have a big time star, and that's pretty cool. Um, they have a good pitching staff, very young pitching staff. They have some great arms in their bullpen. So I'm really happy for them. I think it's going to be good. It's good for baseball, and it's also good as a Yankee fan that we have that rivalry because I'm sick of the Red Sox. I mean, as much as
Yeah, and they're going to be terrible this year.
yeah, well they're starting out right. I just can't believe they're winning right now. But
Well, they're playing the A's.
yeah, yeah, no, that's
Oh,
that's
the
true.
A's,
Yeah,
the
That's
Sacramento
another whole
A's.
story, and
Oh,
that's
yeah,
that's another. I mean, I feel sad for what
criminal.
happened. Another proud organization that's a mess. It's a
Yeah.
mess.
Every team should be like the Green Bay Packers, where they're just owned by, they're
fans.
publicly traded and they're run by a group that has to keep them in that location and run them like a business, where, they have to pay for their own stadiums and they have to pay for this and pay for that. And, this, like the Kansas City Chiefs asking for money for a new stadium, like, give me a break. The Hunts have $25 billion. Like,
Yeah.
it's just sickening. But to me, Brian, the Orioles, Adley Rushman is their star, but they have so many guys that are like they're just young enough that next year you're going to be like, oh my God, these guys are all great players, and um, I think they're on the verge. I think they're still like 2 years away, but I think they're going to be tough. They're going to be a great regular season team, and they still have to learn how to win in the playoffs. So hopefully the Yankees have another year or two to stay ahead.
Now,
But
do you both think that the Orioles will just ride it out with these young players and these young arms, or do you think later in the season, as we get into the dog days of summer, close to the trade deadline, that they'd maybe sacrifice a couple young players to bring in like a veteran arm or something to make a push for
well, they did. I mean, they got
Corbin
Corbin
Burns?
Burns,
Yeah.
yeah. So I think he's a big move. But again, they have the money, right? They have the new ownership. So yes, I think at the trade deadline they will be making moves. I don't
Mhm.
think they're going to sit idle. If they need a piece, they're going to go get it. But to be honest, I, you know, I don't know. I mean, maybe in the bullpen they may need something. I mean, they're
Yeah.
how much they're going to rely on Craig Kimball this year. I'm not sold on him. I think he may
Mhm.
be a little bit past peak, but
Yeah.
maybe they're going to look for somebody there. But really, yeah, I think they'll spend the money if they need to.
Yes. But
Yeah.
but I agree, Brian, that it is great for baseball and for the city of Baltimore to have the Orioles back because, like you said, it is a beautiful ballpark. It's the first one of those classic
It's the
throwback
best. I'm
stadiums, and
sorry, it's
it's
the
still the
best.
best. It is
It's still the
still
best. In my
incredible.
opinion,
Yeah.
I've been to a lot of stadiums. I'll tell you, Seattle is pretty awesome. Even
Mm,
Texas is pretty awesome.
okay.
But
Philly
nothing.
and Pittsburgh are great.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I have not been to the updated Pittsburgh one,
I
which
haven't either. I heard
it
it's
is going to happen.
great.
It's going to happen this
Yeah.
summer, so I'm going to do it this summer. But
Road
um,
trip for the show. There you
there you
go.
go, there you go. And
With some
so
sauerkraut.
so so definitely. And but Philly's great. I actually tell you, City Field's pretty nice too. I mean, it's getting better. It's actually not as good as when it was first opened. It had a lot to desire, but they've made some changes, and I actually like it's a nice field. Sadly, I like it better than Yankee Stadium.
Mm,
I shouldn't say that, but it's the truth.
What?
Yeah,
City
I'm not.
Field?
I'm not a big fan of Yankee Stadium.
Well,
I'm really not. I just
well,
the new
because you
Yankee Stadium.
hearken back to the old stadium.
Yeah, the old
Just
stadium
like,
had
oh, it was
ambiance. It had
but
awesome.
ambiance.
but there was also people that said that stadium wasn't as good as the original stadium.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
I
I know.
mean, going from Shea to City Field was, obviously a huge difference. And I
Oh
think,
yeah, big time, big time.
yeah, yeah.
And
So,
just to the Phillies too, like the Phillies compared to what they had. My goodness,
The vet.
the vet was just
that was a 1970s like
yeah.
circle
Oh my
stadium,
goodness, it was so bad.
multi-purpose stadium.
Yeah.
Their
So,
Yeah.
stadium's awesome though. Citizens
but
Bank Park is huge.
Baltimore, yeah. Again, Baltimore's back.
Yeah.
And they're young, so it's not gonna be just a flash in the pan thing. So I'm happy. I'm really happy for that organization.
And Toronto, I think Toronto, they have that young core. It's like the 2017 Yankees where they had that core coming up, and then it seems like they kind of plateaued out, and they can't get over the hump. But it'd be interesting to see what they do this year. I don't think the Rays are going to be. I say that every year, and then
Yeah.
they sneak up the standings. But I think the Red Sox will be in last. I think the Rays, and then I think it's going to be Yankees at the top, and then
Mhm.
Blue Jays in the middle there. So,
I
but we'll
like
see.
I like the Twins a little bit too. I think the Twins have a good team. I like Seattle a lot too,
Yeah, they're
but
good.
they're in a tough division.
Yeah.
Seattle's good though. Seattle is better than people think. Um, I-
Yeah, they started this. I mean, I think they split with the Red Sox in their opening 4-game series. And Seattle's like the sort of team they're going to warm up and they're going to roll. But like you said, Brian, the Rangers are there and the Astros are there, and the Angels and the Athletics are going to be terrible. But strong division with the Rangers, Mariners, and Astros for sure.
What's
The White Sox are bad too.
they're awful too. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the over under on wins for the A's? They were awful.
50.
50.
I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. I'll
I
look
mean,
it up.
they're starting minor leaguers on their team. They got J.D. Davis, but I mean, you look at their lineup, you don't even know the guys, and it's like, who are these people? Uh, it's sad. It's sad. And again, proud organization. Um, it's a mess. Now, I have to ask you guys. Now, there's definitely an elephant in the room here. This whole Otani thing. What do you think? I mean,
It's 58, Mike. 57
58.
and a
Oh
half.
my
Yeah,
goodness, that
57
is
and a half.
embarrassing.
it is
God.
amazing.
um, I, I think he's involved.
Really?
I
I do
really
too. I
do.
do too. I do too. I
Really?
really do. I
Oy.
don't want it to be, but I'm
Oh,
really thinking it
man.
is.
I mean, I think his personality, everything says no to me. But then, like, how does somebody get $4.5 million transferred out of their account without knowing it? I mean, I guess he's got so much money. What's $4.5 million to him? It's probably what, a 0.5%.
Oh, my God.
So I don't know. It just seems very strange to me, and it seems strange that it came out first, like, oh, I'm helping him pay, and then no, he lied. He transferred it out. Um, and I don't know if he got lawyered up where they were saying, hey, you can't do that. You can't say that you paid for him because
Oh, you
you're now
can't. Yeah, no, you
right. It's a
can't because
federal offense.
that's
Yeah,
money
right,
laundering. Yeah, how
right.
does?
Yeah, yeah. So he Otani may have just said to him, hey, I can't say that. I got to throw you under the bus. But this guy's going to go to prison for a long time if he's convicted. This isn't like you're going to get 2 years. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't hop on a plane and go back to Japan.
Well, and that yeah, and so also the thing is, if he is going to go to prison, maybe he's going to come. He's going to somebody will give him a lot of money to write a book or tell to rat out Otani and then tell him exactly what happened. We don't know, and we're
Yeah.
probably not going to know.
No,
He's saying I didn't understand because I don't understand English or like, he from
he's
what
a
I hear.
translator.
Yeah, I know. From what I hear, there was a meeting going on, and the Angels themselves were telling, I'm sorry, the Dodgers were telling the players about the fact that there was a problem going on and then he didn't even know it was about him. And then all of a sudden he's like, "Wait a second, what are you talking about? This is about me?" And he acted dumb, like he didn't know what was going on. I'm just surprised that he can't be that stupid that he doesn't know that.
Yeah.
He seems like a very smart man. I don't know. He's
This is
very
Otani or
Otani.
oh yeah.
So I don't know. I just don't. But then I hear, did you hear what happened when he got his first home run? So he get his first home run, and a
Oh
and a,
yeah,
and a
yeah.
lady
I
caught
did
it,
it.
right? A lady
Yeah.
caught it, and so what happened is the Dodgers security cornered the lady, didn't let the lady's husband even anywhere near her, and pressured her into giving them the ball for a couple bats and a couple signed hats and stuff. She never got to meet him, and she didn't really want to. She could have sold it somewhere for like a lot of money, but the Dodgers security was just horrible with her. And it was a really
According
bad
to the
situation.
media.
According
Yeah.
well, according to them, right? According
Yeah.
to the people.
To the people. Yeah.
Yeah,
Her
the
and her
people said
husband.
this. I don't know. I just don't think that was right. Like Otani should have met the people. Like it's a great opportunity for him to start clearing up his image a little bit.
Yeah.
Meet them, shake their hand, take a picture. Um, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just don't think it was right. But the fact that they cornered the lady and the husband couldn't even talk to her, that seemed really. I could just imagine. I remember my mom caught a ball by Ed Kranepool. Now, of course, it wasn't his first home run, right?
Ed
But
Kranepool.
yeah,
Don
but
LaGreca's
but no one,
one of
no,
his famous rants.
yeah, but no one came came after us. But I'm just saying, what if like my wife caught a ball, like, and then I was saying to her, like, hey, let's save it. Let's go home. We could pay the kids college
Yeah.
loans and stuff like that with that ball. But you can't do it because they corner us in a room and they tried to pressure into taking a couple bats. I just don't understand that. I don't understand that.
All for
Yeah, I mean,
baseball. What
but
what was this Otani translator betting on anyway? Did they ever
Well,
say?
we don't know that either. So
they
that's another whole
they
thing.
claim football, soccer, um, tennis. I think was a big one. There was some weird sports in there that were thrown out early on, but I haven't heard anything since then. But
We have talked about gambling on this podcast before, and you keep hearing all of these different stories, right? Like Michael Porter Jr.'s brother
Yeah, that's
being
another one.
investigated for gambling.
I
Right?
think that's pathetic. If that's true,
Awful.
see, I'm scared if that's true because you look at that, it makes so much sense. Like with the and you think about it, they have to be smart. These bad players, when you look at, if you go and look at the props, they have props for like every player. So the
Yes.
prop with him was like he's going to score less than 2 points or something.
And he's
So
like,
he
I'm hurt.
purposely would miss his free throws, right? And then he only scored one, and then the guy would win his bet. And you look at it was so shady, so shady. Now
well,
he's not back on the roster right now yet, is he?
Nope.
Yeah,
It's all
I
yet to
think that they
see.
know. I think there's more going on, guys, than we know right now. They're finding more stuff out because the NBA has been really mum on this.
this is the Jonte Porter you guys talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, Michael
Well, I
Porter.
read that he was in 2 games, and the under there are prop bets for unders, and he was hurt in both games early in the
Yeah.
game.
Yep. Exactly. Played
He
a few
left both
weeks
games
ago.
early.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, it's you know what? I think all the leagues have said we're going to make more money than it's going to cost us, so we're just going to keep this gambling thing going. I
Yeah.
think
The
somebody
integrity.
ran the numbers for him, right?
Yeah, the integrity of all these sports is being brought into question because JB Bickerstaff, the coach of the Cavaliers, said that all of these arenas, I think, have sports books in them, and they've got a game in hand, and he starts making substitutions, and he hears fans yelling at him, "Hey, leave that guy in! I need him to score another
Yeah,
basket."
yeah.
And he said that he has gotten phone calls on his cell. Who knows how these people get his number, threatening him and his family, and knowing details about where he lives and things like that. This gambling thing is really getting
It's
a bit out of
scary. It's
control. It
scary.
really is, right? And now you have the biggest star in baseball, right? A generational talent that you haven't seen since Babe Ruth. That is a dominant hitter and dominant pitcher, and he's now being scrutinized and potentially involved in this. It's really
And
hard.
gambling is not legal in California.
Oh, it's not.
No.
Well,
No.
and Pete Rose said if he had an interpreter, he would never get caught, right? Um,
Exactly.
He should have had an interpreter in some cases.
it's
But
amazing. No, but that's the thing now. So they're letting this go, and they're being really quiet about that. Like I mean, there's definitely
well, the
the
media is
the
not going to let
FBI is
this go.
involved. The
Yeah,
FBI is involved.
yeah.
Like they're
This will be throughout the whole season. The media
yeah.
is not going to let this go, and they
But
shouldn't. And
but
they
if they,
shouldn't.
so let's say he does get caught. Let's say something happens. Do you think that they're going to suspend the the most popular player in two countries right now?
They have to.
Do you think that they would
Yes.
do that?
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
they
have
have
to.
to.
I
Or
mean, Pete Rose was,
Yeah,
he
banned
was
for
a
life.
popular
but
player
would they
and
ban
manager.
him forever like Pete Rose?
You have to.
Yeah,
I think you
yeah.
have to.
Wow. Wow.
Then he
Well,
goes back to
how
Japan.
about the wide receiver on the Falcons who what was his name that got
Ridley.
caught? Yeah, Calvin
Oh,
Ridley.
Yeah.
He got caught. He's playing.
well, he said you can come out and say, "I've got a gambling problem. I need help." Right? You
Well,
can always
well,
say
but
that.
he sat out a year, and wasn't it something like it was? I don't want to say it wasn't a big deal what he was betting, but it didn't seem like it was like he broke rules, but it wasn't like he was betting against his team or anything like that. I don't
No,
know.
he wasn't betting his team, but
Yeah.
he was using. Yeah, but again, they make it very clear. From what I hear, there's giant signs in every. Now again, Otani could say, "Oh, I can't read English. I didn't know that sign." But I mean, obviously, in the contract it says it. Obviously, they they, well, Ken, maybe this interpreter when he Otani says, "Hey, what does that say on the wall?" Oh, it says gambling is allowed. Okay, yeah,
Give
you know,
your
you could,
interpreter $4 million.
yeah. I mean, you could see, like, you imagine what this guy's been telling him all these, And the funny thing is, if he's lying to him about that, you can imagine what other things he's lying to him about, right?
Yeah, Ridley did bet on the Falcons. It said that he downloaded a gambling app, deposited $1,500, and bet on NBA and NFL games, including the Falcons.
Did he pick
So,
them to win?
yeah, I don't know.
He was injured at the time, right?
He was correct. He
Yeah.
wasn't playing.
Okay.
He wasn't playing, so it's not like he could
Yeah, but he also knows in the
shave
locker room
points.
who's hurting, who's like, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, again,
Yeah,
but he only did 1 year and he's back. NFL doesn't care. They don't care.
yeah.
You could
They're making more money than
you
they.
could
Yeah,
beat people up, or and, like, they just let you right back in the league. Baseball is going to be, they have to. So if Otani really did this now, again, we don't know what's going to be covered up. There might be something. It might be covered up. Maybe they're going to say, let's say he did it, but we don't want to lose face, so let's cover it up. I have a feeling something shady's going on, guys. I really do.
Well, the if he's part of it, you don't just give that up, right? Like that's a disease,
Yeah,
right? Unfortunately, and I think if you're in that position and you have that much money and you know that you're not supposed to do it and you're still doing it to that extent, that's not just going to be like, hey, Shohei, don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
But he doesn't just seem like a guy that would be gambling on, $4.5 million. I don't know, but I don't know the translator either. But
Is the translator someone that the Dodgers or the Angels hired for him, or is it his friend that he brought
his
along?
friend, they
Okay.
were friends. They were friends for
Yeah.
many years, and he
Okay.
basically said, he was with him with the Angels, and I think they were friends from home, and he
Hmm.
brought him over as the translator, so on and so forth. So
see, I have friends of mine that I didn't even realize how much they were betting on games. This is before FanDuel and all, but when there was actual bookies
right,
that they were actually doing that. I just it baffled me to realize how many people were doing this. I just didn't know. I didn't even know that existed. Like I didn't know I thought that was something on TV. I didn't know. And these guys were like, "Yeah, I'm calling up my bookie now to make some bets." And like, what? And I used to be amazed on the amount of money that people would bet on stuff. Um, I know famously, this is a person. I'm not going to name the person, but this is a person that Michael knows. And Michael and I both know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was on a business trip, and this person had bet on a Vancouver Grizzlies. It's not even a team anymore, and the Clippers in a game that started at like 10 o'clock at night. And they were both terrible, and bet a whole bunch of money on that game, and made us stay up to watch it. And this guy almost lost a ton of money. The game went to overtime, and he almost lost a ton of money. But luckily, luckily his team won. Um, but at that time, I was like, who in their right mind would ever bet on the Vancouver Grizzlies versus the Clippers? Like, but then I thought about it afterwards. I'm like, well, gambling's an addiction. It is something that
yeah.
you don't care who's playing. You care about the odds and what you think is going to happen, and you
You
do
want
it.
the sweat,
The
yeah, yeah,
thrill. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it baffles me. It baffles me. I just, and I will tell you, and this is, I'll be very honest. What I did for this year's NCAA tournament, I bet $2 on every game. That was my did. I tried, instead of like doing a bracket this year. I said, I'm going to try this. I'm just going to
right.
bet $2 on every game. So right now I was 50 something ahead. Now I'm $48 ahead, 48 and change ahead right now.
Hmm.
So to me, that's pretty cool. I'm doing it,
Yeah,
but I'm not changing my bet. Just $2 a game. I'm just betting $2. So I'll just bet the last couple and see what happens.
yeah,
Um, but with the spread versus not, like in the bracket, you don't have a spread.
right.
So what I noticed is my picks stunk without the spread, but they do very well with the spread.
All right.
It's pretty hilarious. Obviously I'm not in the right. I'm not a person who should be filling out a bracket. But do I have the urge to go bet $100 or take my 48 and just blow it all in one game? No, I'm not, because if I come out of here with $40 ahead, I'm $40 ahead that I didn't have, and I'm going to be happy with that. But some people can't do that. They would have actually, started betting more and more and more. Get the urge. I have a good feeling about this team, Oakland. And I'm gonna bet on them. Um, and people do it all the time. I know people. Again, I have a guy who I'm friends with who spends he used to spend all his time in OTB. I don't know where he goes now because I don't think they have OTBs anymore. Don't do they still have those?
Yeah, I think they do in
They
the
do.
city.
Well, he used to spend all his days in there. Like like I'd be like, "What are you doing on Saturday?" I'm going to go to OTB for the day. Like what?
for the day.
And they'd sit there
Watching
the whole
harness
day and
racing
bet.
from closer
Yeah,
to TVs.
I
But
can't
but
do that.
but that's our generation, right? Like look at our kids. They're all growing up with gambling apps on their phone,
Yeah,
like
no,
right,
you're
like
right.
every and the biggest crime of it all is forget betting a game. Oh, I want my favorite team to win, they're betting these crazy parlays which never win. And these DraftKings and Barstool Sports and ESPN Bet and all these crap, they just all promote these parlay, and they are just raking in money hand over fist because the chances of parlays hitting are so small that they're just taking in. And they, what do? They put on social media, oh, this guy just won this crazy parlay and he won $200,000. Yeah, but all the other parlays lost, and we made $1 million. Like it's insane. Like in my, I told my kids, I'm like, I would never, don't get involved in any of that. And you know,
Well,
um,
even when
but
I
they'll know no different. I mean, especially your
no,
kids, Mike, because
yeah,
they're young, a little bit younger than Brian and I's kids, but they all they
They,
haven't really known it without it.
yeah,
no,
they,
I've
we
been
talk
I've
about
been
it.
very open. This is a
Yeah.
great conversation, guys, and this again we're going away from sports, but this is actually a good conversation, and I like this. I could tell you right now, with my kids, I've taught them how to gamble. I wanted them to learn because one is good math skills, but second of all, I wanted them to understand that the odds are not in your favor. Like you have to understand that because a lot of people do feel, hey, this is a quick get rich quick scheme
Sure.
here. I can go.
Yeah, I have a system.
I have a system,
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
So
I
does
made it very
Vegas.
clear. Yeah, I mean, again, I worked as a dealer there for a while, and actually, I have to tell you that Glenn just sold the business, so Royal Casino Party is no longer exists.
oh
But
yeah,
Right.
yeah, just it's a sad day. The other day he sent us a note and said he finally sold everything, um, but he made it well, so you give him that, give him credit for that. It was a lot of fun. It was a great thing. But I learned a lot about people, and even at these party things that when they have stakes like like a charity event that you could actually win something very well, and we have to play by the book. We have to really be tough on the people when they're gambling. And there are people that you could just see how addicted they are to gambling. It's just amazing.
yeah,
To the point where I'd be like, come on, this is like a charity event. Why are you getting so worked up on this stuff? But that's how they were brought up because they go to casinos, they do this kind of stuff. I go to casinos. We went a couple weeks ago. My daughter and I were coming back from Pennsylvania, and we decided to stop off at the Bethlehem one for a couple hours. I won a little bit of money. I told her she won a little bit, I won a little bit. I said we're going to stop, and she's like, oh no, Mackenzie was like, oh, we can keep going, win more. And then no, 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 stop, we're ahead.
Let it
We
ride.
beat it. Let's go. So I said, hey, we're going to go have a nice dinner now because I just won some money. We'll go have a nice dinner. And she's like, oh, okay. And so like afterwards, my wife was like, where'd you guys go to fancy dinner? I said, well, I won the money and I paid for it with the money we won, and that's good. To me, that was a win, and that's great. So we left the casino feeling, hey, you know what? I'm happy. But a lot of people can't do that.
yeah,
Yeah.
A lot of people can't do that. I've never been a person to like. I don't like to lose money, and I hated losing. But I learned to gamble very well, and I consider myself a good gambler. But I'm not ever going to lose $1,000. I could never do that. I would never sleep. I wouldn't sleep for weeks if I did that.
and
Can't do
think
that.
about the money that we were talking about with Shohei.
Yeah.
Yeah.
$4.5 million. Like it's
Crazy.
insane. It's insane, but
Yeah.
we'll see. We'll see if it dominates the year. I think it will. I think it's going to keep popping up. Every few couple weeks, there's going to be a leak of information and this and that, and this is going to drag on, and it'll tarnish the season this year. But again, tarnish the Dodgers and Shohei. But I think the rest of the league, I think baseball's really poised. I think it's back, and new rules really helped a lot last year, and I think with the pace of play, and I think they're letting more wild card teams in, which I'm not a big fan of, but it keeps fan interest. So look for a good year this year, a fun year.
Yeah.
I think we go. Remember that? What was it? What was the slogan during the steroid years? Chicks love the long ball.
Long ball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think that. I think right now what we're seeing is we're seeing the emphasis on playing baseball the way it should be played, and I do like that because the stolen base is back. Um, I've
And a,
seen more teams sacrifice bunt.
Yeah, and a little less emphasis on analytics, right? Like all
Yeah,
these
Thank
teams went
God.
so far the other way with the
Yeah.
pendulum and like just overloading every time a guy walked up to bat with all this information. And now he's not just being an athlete and sitting there and reacting. He's saying, okay, well, the last pitch was a fastball, so I should expect this next. And, you just see teams, moving, information is always good. Analytics is always good. But the overemphasis of that hopefully is going away, and it's just
so
going
much of
back to guys
so
playing
much of
game.
baseball is a hunch.
Yeah.
Like this guy's hot right now. I just got to throw him in there. I know it might say statistically it might not say the right thing to do. I got to throw this guy in there because you just don't know when how's the ball going to break? How does the ball come out of the pitcher's hand? Is the swing? It's just so many things that are fact. Hitting a baseball is the hardest thing in any sport,
Right.
Yeah.
and you can't. It doesn't. Numbers don't always work that way. It just
Yeah.
doesn't. It
Yeah.
doesn't.
I would be the first one to be pleased if we start moving away from the analytics, because that would just drive me nuts. And it slows the game down a lot too, right? Because you're making changes with pitching, and nothing worse for me than seeing a manager sitting in the dugout with this 3-ring binder of
Right.
600. I'm thinking, oh my God. I'm like, you've been in the game for 40 years. You know what you need to do.
Right. Just do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
please
Well,
just
that's
do
why
it.
I'm so glad that they don't do the shifts anymore.
Oh,
Yeah.
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 It looked
And the pitch
ridiculous.
clock, I think, has been great.
Yeah, pitch clock's been great. And again,
Pitch clock.
I know people that complain about it all the time. Just as of the other day, when one of my friends was like swearing at the pitch clock, I'm like, you're kidding me, right? I think this is great. It's not hurting the game one bit. I don't like this. I don't like the extra innings putting the guy on second base.
Yeah.
I don't like that. But you know
But
what?
the players want it. Like we all, the fans don't want it, but the players want it because they want the games to get over. They don't want to play.
Long season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They don't want to play another, and the managers want it because they don't want to waste all their relief
Arms.
pitchers one night. Yeah. So,
Well, did you see what happened? Yeah, the other night in the Yankee game. Was it who they play against the other night? They put the designated hitter in the game.
The Diamondbacks.
Yeah,
game.
Diamondbacks. So they put their designated hitter in the game, and because of that, and that's always been the rule.
The
You
pitcher has to hit.
lose that ability. So
Yeah.
your pitcher has to bat at that point.
Right.
And so bases loaded in the last inning. Who comes to bat? The pitcher. And
he had balked in the winning run.
Yeah, I know.
The half inning before, he balked in the run, so the Yankees were up 1, and then he makes the final out in the next inning. That's a bad night for that pitcher.
No, it's a bad night, but that's the truth. Like that happens when you take the designated hitter and use that, take it away because it's a
Right.
privilege. You use it, you automatically go back to the pitcher batting. That's a
Right.
rule. So it's been that way since Ron Blueberg was there, right back when
Yeah.
it started. And the thing is, people forget it. They forgot the rule because it doesn't happen that much.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pretty cool. Baseball is great. I'm so happy it's back. It's the summer's here. Basketball's going to start heating up more. Hockey's going to start heating up more. We have to definitely do a hockey playoff episode soon. I think we got it.
Well, the Rangers and the Devils just dropping gloves and fighting 5-on-5 the other night.
Yeah, before the game even started. The game started like in a minute.
2 seconds.
Yeah, it was slap
2
shot.
seconds in.
It was
Yeah.
slap shot. It was great.
Yeah. Great.
That's one of my favorite movies. Come on, you gotta love Slapshot.
I love it. It's one of my favorite sports
We
movies.
even talked about the Hanson brothers like the other in another episode. The Hanson brothers. Yeah, come on,
Yeah.
there you go.
That
I
was
think
a good
Mike
one.
brought it up because it looks like the basketball player looks like a Hanson brother.
Indiana.
Yeah, and if anybody ever wondered what Mike looks like, he actually looks like the Hanson brothers.
My hair's a little bit shorter though.
and he plays when he goes on business trips. He brings his racetrack.
His cars.
Yeah, he plays
Yeah.
this race car track.
It's hard to get those things through security,
There you go. There you go. Well, hey, this has been a great episode, guys. I love this banter. This is what makes us. I think we are better when we banter like this. This is the best way. I want you, fans. I want you to, listeners. Please let us know that give us some feedback on this because I think that's the special relationship we have. We could talk about anything about this stuff. We went from basketball to baseball to gambling. Like I mean, it's like to hockey. Like we're like this is great. It's a great conversation.
It's our public service announcement. You're welcome, children.
Yes, and we won't be. I'm sure this won't be the last time that we're talking about gambling.
No.
Yeah, we just need Lynn to come and start yelling at us to get back to work. Then it'll be
still in
actually
here.
yeah, you guys still in here. What are you doing? Okay, so thank you everybody. Thanks for listening. And Alex, where can they find us?
So primarily Facebook and Threads. That's kind of where we live and do the most posting. And we are known as 3 The Hard Way Sports on each of those platforms. We have you can email us at info@3thehardway.com with any feedback that you may have about the show. We have a website, 3thehardway.com, and you can find our podcast on all the major podcasting channels, including Apple, Google, and Spotify.
Take care, everybody.
Have a great night.
Good night.
This is Tom Carvel. Thank you for listening to 3 The Hard Way Sports Podcast. Remember to get a Fudgy the Whale or Cookie Puss for the next time you're sitting down to watch the big game.